Welcome to Mrs. Bays' 6th grade math video lesson. This is division of fractions number 3. It's the 3rd video in this series. And in this lesson, we're going to add mixed numbers. So division of fractions and division of mixed numbers. Please do not use a calculator. Let's begin by looking at our vocabulary. We have fraction, mixed number, reciprocal, and again, we're going to look at simplifying your answers to lowest terms with this example, 3/12. Before we do this, let's go back to our hints that we looked at in the last video. When you have fractions, there are hints you can use to help you simplify them. And here are a few of those hints. When the top number and bottom number both are even, you divide both numbers by 2. If the top number is even and the bottom is odd, or the top is odd and the bottom is even, or both are odd, you divide both numbers by 3. If the fraction ends in 0 and 5, and the 0 and 5 can be on either the numerator or the denominator, you'll divide both numbers by 5. And in this last one, if both numbers end in 0, you divide both numbers by 10. So now let's look at how we're going to simplify 3/12. 3 is an odd number, 12 is even. So let's go up to our hints. Odd, even. 3 is odd, 12 is even. So we're going to divide both top and bottom by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. 3/12 simplified is 1/4. Let's also review how to divide fractions. The KCF, we're going to keep the first, and it can be a whole number or a fraction. We're going to change the division symbol to a multiplication symbol, and I'd like for you to use the big dot to show your multiplication. And F stands for flip, and that means we're writing this last fraction as a reciprocal. Let's review a bit before we begin looking at division of fractions. Let's start with looking at this fraction, 32/15. 32/15 is improper, and we want to simplify it. So I have some steps here that will help us simplify improper fractions. Step 1, how many 15s are in 32? Well, 15 times 2 is 30. So that's about as close as you're going to get. So how many 15s are in 32? 2. That is your whole number. How many are left? Well, that means we're going to take the 32 and subtract the 30, and when we subtract, we get 2. That's your new numerator. And the denominator, well, the denominator is 15. That's going to stay the same. So 32/15 simplifies to 2 and 2/15. Let's do a little bit more review, and this time we're going to turn a mixed number into a fraction. So again, I have steps for this. First step, multiply denominator and whole number. So the denominator is 3, and we multiply the whole number, that's 1. So 3 times 1 is 3. That will be, we're going to use this later to our second step. So we're going to add now the numerator. So we're going to take that 3, add the numerator, which is 2, and that will give us 5. Now 5 becomes our new numerator. And keep the denominator. Well, the denominator is a 3, so we're going to write that as the denominator. Now let's look at some examples for dividing fractions and mixed numbers. Look at the first example. Keep, change, flip. Keep the first, but it's a whole number. So let's turn that into a fraction. That's 2 over 1. We're going to change, but I don't want to change it yet. I need to deal with this mixed number first. So this first time around here, I'm going to keep the division symbol as it is. Let's work on turning this mixed number into a fraction. So using our steps, denominator times whole number. 2 times 1, that's 2. Add the numerator, that's 3. Keep the denominator, and that's a 2. Okay, now let's go to keep, change, flip. Keep, change the division symbol to multiplication, and let's use that big dot again. And now let's look at flipping 3 halves. That means 2 goes on top, 3 goes on bottom. Now let's multiply straight across. 2 times 2 is 4, and 1 times 3 is 3. Well, 4/3 is an improper fraction, so we need to simplify it. So to do that, we're going to use our 3 steps. How many 3's are in 4? 1. How many are left over when I take 3 out of the 4? 1. And the denominator stays the same. That's 1 1/3. Let's look at the second example. I'm going to change colors so we don't get confused. We're going to keep, change, flip, but keep 1 1/2. Well, actually, I need to turn that into a fraction. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus the numerator, which is 1, is 3, and keep the denominator. And I'm going to keep this sign for just a moment so I can work with this. This is a whole number, and I need to turn it into a fraction. So as a whole number, all I need to do is put 1 under it. Now I can keep, change, flip. Keep the first fraction, change the division symbol to multiplication, and we're using the big dot. And then we're going to flip or write the reciprocal of 2 over 1, which would be 1/2. And now we can multiply. 3 times 1 is 3, and 2 times 2 is 4. So our answer is 3/4. Let's look at example number 3. This time we have 2 mixed numbers. So in this case, let's turn both of these mixed numbers into fractions. So let's start with the first one. 3 times 2, I can put a little mark here to help me remember. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. Keep that same denominator. And we're going to keep that symbol for now. And we're going to turn this mixed number into a fraction. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Keep the same denominator. Okay, now let's keep, change, flip. Keep the first fraction as it is. Change the division sign to multiplication. Let's use the big dot. And now we need to flip or write the reciprocal of 5/4, which is 4/5. And now we can multiply. 8 times 4, that's 32. And 3 times 5, well, that's 15. Well, 32/15, that's improper. So we need to simplify this to lowest terms. So to do that, we're going to use our 3 steps. How many 15s can we get out of 32? That would be how many groups of 15 are in 32? That's 2. Well, 15 times 2 is 30, and 32 minus 30, how many's left over? 2. And the denominator stays the same. So the answer is 2 and 2/15. Now let's look at the last example. Again, we have 2 mixed numbers. We need to turn those into fractions first, so let's work on that first. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 is 18. Keep the same denominator. Okay, let's keep that symbol for now. Let's not change it. Let's turn this mixed number into a fraction. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 more is 8. And keep that same denominator, 3. Now let's keep change flip. Keep the first fraction as it is. Change to multiplication. Flip or write the reciprocal of 8/3. That would be 3/8. Now I want to show you a shortcut here so we don't have to simplify a lot in the end for our answer. This is called pairing up your common factors. Now, if this doesn't make sense to you when I'm finished, you can still multiply straight across and then simplify when you get this fraction to lowest terms. I just want to show you a quicker way of simplifying. It's called pairing up your common factors. So what do I mean by that? Well, notice I have 18 on the top of the first fraction and 8 on the bottom of the second fraction. So I can work diagonally, and I notice that this is even, what do? We divide by 2. So 18 divided by 2 is 9, so I mark that out and replace with a 9. And 8 divided by 2 is 4, so I mark it out and replace it with a 4. Now I can look at the 3 and the 5 and see if there's anything there I can do. 3 is odd, 5 is odd, odd over odd, you divide by 3. But can we divide 5 nicely by 3? Well, the answer is no, so that means we're going to have to leave those alone. So now what do? Well, let's multiply across. 9 times 3 is 27, and 5 times 4 is 20. So now let's simplify. Again, we're using our 3 steps. How many 20s can we get out of 27? Well, that would be one group. How many are left over out of 27 when we take 20 out? That's 7. And the denominator stays the same. And that's 20. So the answer is 1 7/20. Now let's look at the practice that I would like for you to do. Please, again, do not use a calculator. I want you to practice IXL 6th grade L7, and you should see the words divide fractions and mixed numbers. Please remember, I want you to work to 80% to get full credit, and 100% will give you a bonus point. Thank you.